The night sky above the unknown planet was silent, but the land below was shaking with danger. Captain Rian slowly opened his eyes, feeling pain in every part of his body. Smoke rose from the broken spaceship behind him, the metal frame glowing hot from the crash. His head hurt, his arm was bleeding, and his breathing was heavy. He tried to move, but his body felt like stone. As his vision cleared, he saw a tall shadow standing over him. The figure had sharp armor made from black scales, bright yellow eyes, and a long tail that moved like a hunting beast. It was Vakar, the alien warrior who had been traveling with Rian before the ship fell from the sky. But Vakar was not angry, not shouting, not holding a weapon. He looked scared, his hand shaking as he pointed at Rian's mouth. "You drank my blood," Vakar whispered, his voice full of shock and fear. "Do you know what that means on my planet?" Rian blinked, confused. "I drank your blood," he repeated weakly. He didn't remember anything from the crash, only darkness and pain, then a strange taste in his mouth right before he lost consciousness. Vakar stepped back as if Rian had turned into something dangerous. On his planet, drinking the blood of a warrior was not a small thing. It was a powerful act, a sacred act, one that connected two souls. It created a link, a bond stronger than metal, stronger than family. Vakar could feel the bond inside his own body, like a second heartbeat that was not his. "If you die, I die," Vakar said, his voice shaking. "If you fight, I must fight with you. If you feel pain, I will feel it too." Rian tried to sit up, but the ground shook again. A deep roar echoed from the dark jungle behind them. Leaves trembled, branches broke, and the sound of heavy footsteps grew closer. Something large was coming, something angry, something hunting. Vakar moved closer to Rian, his fear turning into focus. "We must move," he said. "Now." Rian struggled to stand, but Vakar grabbed his arm and pulled him up with surprising strength. The alien warrior looked around, scanning the shadows with sharp senses. "Did you drink my blood on purpose?" Vakar asked again. His tone was not accusing, just confused. Rian shook his head. "When the crash happened," Rian said, speaking slowly, "I was losing blood. I was fading. I remember reaching for something warm, something alive, but I didn't know what it was." Vakar closed his eyes for a moment, his expression mixed with anger and sadness. "On my world, drinking a warrior's blood is an ancient ritual," Vakar said. "It was made to join two warriors for battle. No warrior does it by mistake." Another roar came from the forest, louder than before. Rian felt the ground tremble under his boots. "What is that?" he asked. Vakar's eyes narrowed. "Hunters," he whispered. "Creatures that track by scent. They smell the blood bond." Rian froze. "You mean they're coming because of us?" "No," Vakar answered. "Because of you. You carry my blood now, and they want it." Rian felt a chill run through his spine. He had survived the crash, but now he was tied to an alien warrior and being hunted by creatures he had never seen. Vakar pushed him forward, guiding him toward a narrow path of rocks. The jungle around them glowed with strange blue plants, lighting their way like ghost flames. The air was hot and heavy, every breath thick with smoke and alien pollen. Behind them, a tree snapped in half. A massive shadow rose from the darkness, for glowing red eyes staring at them. Rian's legs almost gave out when he saw it. The creature was taller than the ship, with 6 legs, sharp claws, and a jaw filled with teeth that dripped with black liquid. Vakar stepped in front of Rian without thinking. The bond forced him to protect a human, even if he didn't want to. If Rian died, so would he. Vakar's armor flared with bright lines of energy, and his tail curved like a weapon ready to strike. The beast roared, shaking the leaves from the trees. Rian covered his ears, feeling the sound inside his bones. Vakar grabbed him and pulled him into the rocks just as the creature charged forward. The monster's claws smashed into the ground where Rian had been standing, breaking stone into dust. "Hurry," Vakar shouted. "The bond makes your scent strong. They will not stop." They ran through the narrow path, stumbling through glowing plants and thick vines. Rian's breathing was rough, but Vakar stayed close, moving with surprising speed for someone his size. Every time Rian tripped, Vakar was there, catching him, pulling him, saving him. At last they reached a cliff overlooking a deep valley. The sky above flashed with orange lightning that lit up ancient structures below. Strange stone monuments rose from the ground like broken teeth, shining with symbols that Rian couldn't understand. Vakar stared at the ruins with wide eyes. "This place," he whispered. This should not be here. This is forbidden land. Rian looked at him, chest heaving. Why are we here? Before Valker could answer, the symbols on the ruins began to glow brighter, and the light responded not to Valker, but to Rian. Valker stepped back in shock. No, he whispered. This cannot be. Only royal blood can awaken this place. How can a human do this? Somewhere behind them, the giant beast roared again, closer than before. Rian felt the ground tremble, the air grow colder. He had no idea what these ruins were, no idea why they reacted to him. But one thing was clear. The blood bond was not just an accident. It was the glowing symbols on the ancient ruins continued to pulse like a slow heartbeat, casting long shadows across Rian's face. Valker stood frozen beside him, his entire body tense. The scales on his arms lifted like sharp blades. He was trying to understand something impossible, something forbidden, something dangerous. This is not right, Valker whispered. His voice almost lost the wind. No human should be able to activate royal stones. This place should reject you, but it is calling to you. Rian had no idea what that meant, but he knew one thing for certain. The creature behind him was getting closer, and the ground trembled with every step it took. A deep growl echoed through the valley, rolling like thunder, shaking leaves from the high trees. Rian turned around and saw the massive silhouette of the beast moving through the jungle. Its red eyes burned like fire through the darkness. Every breath from the creature was hot enough to steam the air. It was hunting them, not with speed, but with confidence, like it knew they could not escape. We need to move, Rian said, gripping the wall of the ruin as his legs trembled. Valker shook his head slowly, not in disagreement, but in fear. This place reacts to you, Valker said. It might protect us, or it might kill us. I do not know. The symbols on the wall brightened, spreading light across the valley floor. Rian felt a strange pull inside his chest, like invisible hands were guiding him forward. It was the same place in his body where he felt the blood bond humming. It was not painful, but powerful, like a new heartbeat waking inside him. Before Rian could take another step, a loud cracking sound echoed behind them. The giant beast had reached the narrow rock path and smashed through it with one swing of its heavy claws. Broken stones flew across the ground as the monster roared in victory. It lowered its head, sniffing the air, catching the scent of the blood bond. Then it charged, each step making the valley shake. Inside the ruins, Valker shouted, grabbing Rian's arm. Move now! They ran toward a narrow entrance between two tall stone pillars. As they reached it, the symbols carved into the stones flashed bright blue. A shock wave of light burst outward, hitting the beast directly in the chest. The monster staggered back, confused and roaring in pain. But it did not stop. Inside the ruins, the air was cold and thick with ancient dust. Long stone halls stretched out into darkness, each wall carved with glowing patterns. The floor was covered with strange roots that pulsed like living veins. Rian felt them respond to his presence, shifting under his boots, guiding him deeper inside. Valker stayed behind him, breathing hard, his tail ready like a spear. He kept glancing back at the entrance, listening for the monster. That creature is called a night maw, Valker said quietly. It hunts by the smell of fear, blood, and destiny. Rian swallowed hard. I have all three right now, he said. You do, Valker answered. And because of the bond, so do I. A loud crash came from the entrance hall as the night maw forced its way into the ruins. Its huge body scraped against the stone walls, breaking old carvings and shaking the pillars. The creature roared again, and the ground almost seemed to vibrate with anger. Rian felt his heart race, the fear pulsing inside him like a drum. The beast sniffed the air again, turning its head toward them. It had their scent. Valker pushed Rian further down the hallway. We cannot fight this thing inside here, Valker said. The bond will make your fear leak into me, and that will make me weak, Rian frowned. Wait! My fear affects you, yes, Valker replied. Every emotion you feel is reaching me through the blood. Rian could barely believe it, but he did not have time to question anything, not with the night maw crawling closer. Its claws dragged across the stone floor, leaving deep scratches behind. Drool dripped from its mouth, burning holes in the ground where it landed. It was getting faster, more desperate, hungry for the taste of royal blood. As Rian and Valker reached a large inner chamber, the symbols around them glowed brighter. This room was different, Massive stone pillars rose to the ceiling, covered in swirling patterns that looked like constellations. In the center of the chamber stood a huge circular platform made of smooth black stone. Blue energy floated around it like mist. Rian felt his chest tighten, the bond inside him humming louder. Something in this room was speaking to him, not with words, but with ancient instinct. "This place is alive," he said quietly. Vakar nodded, not surprised. These ruins were built by the old kings. They used living stone and blood energy to protect their secrets. Rian stepped toward the platform. As soon as his foot touched the edge, the entire room lit up in bright blue light. Runes appeared on the walls. Floating symbols rose from the floor. The ceiling rotated slowly like the inside of a massive machine waking up after thousands of years. Vakar stepped back, his eyes wide. "No human should be able to do this," he said. "No human should touch royal power." Before Rian could respond, a terrifying screech echoed through the chamber. The night maw burst into the room, smashing to the stone doorway, sending rocks flying everywhere. Its eyes locked onto Rian immediately. It could feel the ancient energy around him, and it wanted it. The monster lowered its body, ready to leap, ready to tear Rian apart. Vakar stepped forward, planting his spear-like tail into the ground. "You will not touch him," Vakar growled, his voice deep and full of rage. "Not while we are bonded." The creature roared and attacked. The floor shook as the night maw leaped through the air, claws wide open, teeth glowing in the blue light. Rian felt his heart stop. The creature was too fast, too strong, too close. But the ruins reacted again. Blue energy shot up from the platform, hitting the creature midair. The night maw screeched as the light wrapped around its body, burning its skin, pulling it back. It crashed against the wall, shaking dust loose from the ceiling. But it was not dead. It struggled, forcing itself back to its feet, angrier than ever. Rian looked at Vakar, fear and confusion in his eyes. "Why is it so desperate to kill me?" Vakar stared at him with a dark expression. "Because you carry royal blood now," Vakar said, "and royal blood means power." Before Rian could speak, the night maw charged again, this time faster, stronger, and with only one goal, to kill the human with the ancient blood. And the ruins began to shake as if something even older was waking beneath them. The chamber shook as the night maw prepared for another attack, its claws scraping deep trenches into the stone floor. Rian stumbled backward, feeling the strange energy inside him pulse like a second heartbeat, strong and unfamiliar. The glowing symbols above shifted in a slow circle, casting the room in rolling waves of blue light. Every shadow stretched and moved like something alive, whispering through the cold air. Vakar pushed Rian toward the center platform again, raising one arm to shield him. "You must stand on the stone," Vakar said, his voice tense but steady. "It reacts to you. It may protect you." Rian didn't argue, his legs moving even though his fear tried to freeze him in place. He stepped onto the platform, the stone glowing instantly under his feet like liquid light. The night maw roared, the sound shaking the dust off the ceiling. Its red eyes shifted from Vakar to Rian, flooded with hatred and hunger. It lowered its body again, muscles tightening like coiled metal, preparing to strike with everything it had. Vakar took a deep breath, stepping in front of the monster and lifting his tail, its sharp end glowing with violet heat. "If you want him," Vakar growled, "you must go through me." But the creature didn't slow down. It lunged with terrifying speed, shaking the entire platform as it leaped, its claws wide open. Vakar dodged the first strike, rolling to the side and slamming his tail into the beast's shoulder. A burst of purple sparks exploded from the impact, and the beast roared in pain. But the night maw didn't fall. It turned with unnatural speed, snapping its jaws at Vakar, missing him by inches. Rian felt every moment of danger, every breath, every pulse of panic. The blood bond carried the tension directly into his chest, making his heart pound even louder. He reached out instinctively, touching one of the glowing symbols on the platform. The ruins reacted instantly. A wave of blue energy blasted outward, forcing the night maw back and illuminating the entire chamber with a roar of power. The creature slammed into a stone pillar, cracking in half. Dust rained down like gray snow. Vakar looked back at Rian, eyes wide with shock. "You are controlling the ruins," Vakar whispered. "No outsider should have this power." Rian didn't know how he was doing it. He didn't understand the symbols, didn't understand the ancient energy, But something deep inside him responded to the glowing stone, like it recognized him, or like he belonged to it. The ruins trembled again, and the platform shifted, lowering slowly into the ground like an elevator made of ancient stone. Vocker grabbed Rian's arm quickly, jumping on the platform as it descended. The nightmare roared, leaping after them, but the blue barrier rose again, blocking it with a flash of bright light. The beast smashed against it, clawing and screaming, furious that its prey was escaping. The platform sank deeper and deeper into the earth, leaving the monster behind. The walls around them glowed with gentle blue lines, creating a spiral pattern that guided the descent. Rian felt his chest tighten with both fear and curiosity. What were these ruins? And why did they react to him? Why did the ancient stone feel like it recognized his blood? Vocker kept staring at the walls, reading the old symbols as they passed. These markings, Vocker said slowly, they're from the first dynasty from before recorded history. Rian looked at him, confused. What does that mean? It means, Vocker continued, this place is older than my people, older than your people, older than most of the galaxy. The platform finally stopped in a massive underground hall. The ceiling was so high it disappeared into darkness. Blue flames lit themselves along the walls, revealing giant statues of armored aliens holding long spears. Their faces looked similar to Vocker's species, but with more elegant, royal features. In the center of the hall stood a large circular chamber guarded by two stone giants. The symbols on the floor pulsed like slow breathing. Rian felt the pull again, stronger than before, urging him forward. Vocker grabbed his arm, stopping him. This place is sacred, Vocker said. No outsider can enter the inner chamber without permission. Rian looked at him, knowing what he was about to say. But the ruins are giving me permission. Vocker hesitated, his eyes troubled. I do not understand it, Vocker said. But the stones react to you as if your blood carries authority. Rian's heart skipped a beat. What kind of authority? He asked quietly. Vocker didn't meet his eyes. Royal authority. Rian froze. That made no sense. He was human. He had no connection to Vocker's world, no royal blood, no ancient heritage. Unless the blood he had swallowed during the crash, the blood that saved his life, the blood that created the bond, carried more power than Vocker had realized. Before Rian could speak, the ground vibrated with a deep hum. A huge stone door at the back of the chamber slowly opened. Blue mist poured out, cold as winter breath. A tall figure appeared inside the doorway, glowing with shifting blue light. Rian and Vocker both stepped back in shock. The figure looked almost alive, though made entirely of swirling energy. Its voice echoed to the hall, ancient and calm. You carry the blood of kings, the figure said, turning its glowing eyes toward Rian. And now, you must learn the truth. As Rian stared into the glowing face, the blood bond inside him surged. Something was waking, something old, something powerful, and the ruins whispered around him, calling his name even though he had never told them. He realized something terrifying. The Night Maw was only the beginning. Whatever waited inside these ruins was far more dangerous, far older, and somehow connected to him. The glowing figure stepped fully into the chamber. Its body made of flowing blue light that shifted like smoke. Its eyes were bright and steady, ancient and calm, filled with a kind of wisdom that made Rian feel small. Vocker immediately moved in front of Rian, raising his tail like a weapon, his scales lifting defensively. He bowed his head slightly, not out of respect, but out of fear. This is not possible, Vocker whispered. You cannot be real. The glowing figure tilted its head as if amused. I am not alive, it said. But I am not gone either. Its voice echoed to the vast chamber like distant thunder. I am a memory left by the first dynasty, a guide to those who carry the royal blood. Rian swallowed hard, feeling the blood bond inside him pulse again. He stepped forward slowly, even though his legs felt weak. Why does this place react to me? He asked. I'm human. I don't belong here. The glowing figure lifted one hand, and the air shimmered like ripples in water. Images appeared. Floating visions of ancient warriors fighting side by side with humans, tall alien kings, armored soldiers, and human explorers with glowing weapons. They stood together in a great war against monstrous beasts that looked even more terrifying than the Night Maw. Rian stared in disbelief. This can't be real. The figure nodded slowly. Long ago, before the galaxy recorded its first history. Your kind and my kind fought as one. Humans were not weak then. They were brave and powerful, gifted with the ability to form bonds of energy that no other species could understand. Valker took a step back, shock written across his face. You are saying humans fought with the first dynasty. The figure nodded again. They were our closest allies, and together we created the blood bond, a sacred ritual that connected warrior to warrior. Rian felt his heartbeat echo in his ears. So, humans were part of this ancient order. Yes, the figure answered. But over time, the galaxies changed, the dynasties fell, and the humans got their ancient power. But the blood remembers. The figure continued, pointing its glowing finger toward Rian's chest. And your blood has awakened because you drank from a royal warrior. Valker stiffened. Royal, he repeated, his voice tight. You mean my blood? The figure turned to him. You are a descendant of the royal line, though your people have forgotten the truth. Rian looked between them, confused. Valker, you're royalty. Valker's jaw clenched. My tribe fell long ago, he said quietly. The royal name was erased. Only my blood remains. And that blood, the glowing figure said, has now mixed with his... Rian felt a chill go through him. So, what does that make me? The figure raised both hands, and the room brightened with a sudden surge of power. A glowing circle formed on the ground around Rian, symbols spinning under his feet. You are now a carrier of royal essence, the figure said, a link between two worlds. Rian's head spun. I never asked for this. No warrior ever does, the figure replied gently. But destiny does not ask for permission. Before Rian could respond, the chamber shook violently. Dust fell from the high ceiling, and the statues along the walls cracked. Valker turned sharply, his senses alert. The Night Maw, he said. It's trying to break in. The glowing figure's eyes darkened. The beasts were created by a corrupted queen during the last war, the figure explained. They chase royal blood. They want to consume it. And now that you carry the blood, the figure said to Rian, they will hunt you until the end. Rian gripped the edge of the platform, fear twisting inside him. So, what are we supposed to do? The figure stepped closer, its voice dropping to a deeper tone. There's only one way. It said, you must unlock the royal core inside this chamber. It is the heart of the old dynasty, the source of the ancient power. Valker's eyes widened. That power is forbidden, he whispered. If he touches it, it could kill him. Or, the figure said calmly, it could awaken his true potential. The chamber cracked again, the sound echoing like thunder. A massive shadow moved behind the stone walls. The Night Maw had found its way deeper into the ruins, drawn by the glowing energy and royal scent. Rian felt panic rising in his chest. He didn't want ancient power. He didn't want destiny. He didn't want to be hunted. He just wanted to survive. But the blood bond pulsed inside him, steady and strong. And he felt Valker's fear, and Valker felt his. Their emotions mixed in a link like two storms colliding inside a single sky. The glowing figure floated backward toward the inner chamber. Follow me, it said. The truth you seek is here, but so is the danger that wants to destroy you. Rian exchanged a glance with Valker. Both understood the same thing at the same time. There was no turning back. Not anymore. They stepped into the inner chamber. The temperature dropped, and the walls glowed with a deeper blue light. A huge circular object floated in the air, spinning slowly like a heart made of stone and energy. Its surface cracked with light, as if something powerful was trapped inside. Rian felt drawn to it, unable to look away. What is that? He whispered. The glowing figure answered with a voice that shook the chamber. That is the royal core, and if you touch it, your destiny will begin. Behind them, the Night Maw roared as it broke through the final wall. It found them, and it was hungry for royal blood. The chamber shook, the statues cracked, and the air filled with dust. Rian stared at the core, trembling. He knew he had only one choice, one chance, one moment. He lifted his hand toward the glowing heart of the old dynasty, and the Night Maw leaped toward him with a scream of rage. The storm outside the ship grew stronger, and the red warning lights kept flashing. Ethan stood in the center of the bridge, feeling something cold move under his skin. It was not sickness now. It felt like power that did not belong to him. Zyra walked in circles around him, watching him like a scientist and like a soldier at the same time. Her tail moved slowly, a sign that she was thinking fast. "Your blood is waking up," she said, her voice low. "It is calling to something." Ethan held the edge of a chair to keep himself steady. "Calling to what?" he asked. He already knew he would not like the answer. He already knew this was bigger than an accident. Zyra stopped and looked at him straight in the eyes. "Calling to them," she said softly. "The Council of Elders." Ethan felt a sharp shock run through his chest. "The people who rule your planet?" he asked. Zyra nodded slowly. "They do not rule us," she said. "They own us." Her words hit him harder than the storm shaking the ship. Ethan pushed his hand through his hair, trying to breathe. "So they can sense your blood? Even if it's inside someone else?" he said. Zyra nodded again, this time with fear in her eyes. "If even one drop enters another body, the Council knows. And you drank much more than one drop." The room felt colder. Ethan felt the weight of something invisible pressing on his shoulders. "How far can they sense it?" he asked. Zyra took a long breath. "Across galaxies," she said. "No matter where you go, they will know." Ethan tried to laugh, but it came out weak. "So you're saying some alien government is tracking me because I drank your blood by accident?" "Not government," Zyra corrected. "Collectors." That word made Ethan step back. Collectors. It sounded wrong, dangerous, like something that did not ask questions before taking what it wanted. "What do they collect?" Ethan asked. He already guessed the answer, but hearing it made the danger real. Zyra's voice turned colder. "Anything with value," she said. "And right now, you might be the most valuable thing in this quadrant." Ethan felt his stomach twist. "Why me?" he said. "Why is your blood so important?" Zyra moved closer. Her voice was suddenly soft, almost sad. "My blood changes fate," she said. "Whoever carries it can rewrite what happens to them, win battles, survive death, break rules of time." Ethan stared at her, shocked. "You're saying I'm immortal now," he said. Zyra shook her head. "No," she said. "You're something worse." Ethan frowned. "Worse? What could be worse than being hunted across a galaxy?" Zyra stepped back and pointed at the scanner behind him. The screen showed Ethan's body glowing with red energy. The glow was getting bigger every second. "You are turning into a signal," she said. "A living beacon. A message in the universe. A call that the collectors cannot ignore." Ethan looked down and saw faint red lines crawling under his skin like tiny lightning. They pulsed with each heartbeat. He felt hot, then cold, then hot again, like his blood was trying to escape. "Turn it off," he said, panic rising. "Zyra, turn it off." "I can't," she said. "No one can. Once the change begins, it must complete." The ship shook again, harder than before. The alarms changed from red to bright white. A sound filled the room, low, deep, like a monster breathing. Zyra's eyes widened. "No," she whispered. "Not this soon." Ethan looked at her, confused. "What is that sound? What's happening now?" Zyra grabbed his arm and forced him toward the exit. Her strength shocked him. "We are out of time," she said. "They found you." Ethan's heart stopped for a moment. "Who?" Zyra pushed him harder, almost dragging him. "The collectors are here," she said. "They came for their signal." The ship's metal walls began to tremble as huge shadows passed over windows. The lights flickered. Something outside the ship was blocking the stars. Something massive. Something ancient. Ethan looked back. On the bridge screen, he saw a gigantic ship descending, black, silent, shaped like a spear cutting through space. It was bigger than anything he'd ever seen. It felt alive, like it was breathing. "Zyra," he said quietly, "is that one of theirs?" Zyra didn't answer. She didn't have to. Ethan's blood glowed brighter. The red lines under his skin lit the hallway like fire. The collector's ship responded with a deep vibration, like a drum calling to him, calling for him. Ethan stumbled. "It's pulling me," he said, terrified. "I can feel it pulling me." Zyra grabbed him and held him tight. "Fight it," she said. "Do not answer the call." Ethan shook, his vision blurring. "I can't." "Yes, you can," Zyra said, her voice suddenly fierce. "Because you're not alone." Ethan looked up at her. Her eyes were glowing the same color as his blood. Red, bright, burning, connected, linked. Zyra pulled him closer and whispered, "They want you, but they will have to go through me first." The collector's ship released a beam of light that hit their vessel, tearing open the sky. Alarm scream, metal broke. The ship began to fall. And Ethan understood one thing. This was just the beginning. The first step of a fate he never asked for, a fate W. The ship spun to the storm of space debris, shaking so hard that Ethan thought the metal would tear apart. But Zyra did not let go of him, even as the lights exploded and the floor cracked. She held him like her life depended on it. When the ship finally stopped spinning, everything went silent. Too silent, like the universe was holding its breath. Ethan slowly opened his eyes. Smoke drifted through the broken hallway, glowing red from the emergency lights. "Zyra," he whispered. His voice sounded weak, like it belonged to someone else. Zyra pushed a beam of metal off her back and stood up. "I'm fine," she said. Her voice was rough but steady. "You are still glowing." Ethan looked at his hands. The red lines under his skin were brighter now, pulsing fast. "It hurts," he said. "It feels like something is moving inside me." Zyra nodded. "That means the transformation is continuing. We don't have much time." Before Ethan could speak, a deep metallic clang echoed across the ship. It was slow, heavy, like a giant walking step by step. Zyra froze. Her tail went stiff. "They sent a hunter," she whispered. "No, not a hunter." Her voice dropped lower. "A prime." Ethan frowned. "What is a prime? Is it like a soldier?" Zyra shook her head. Her eyes filled with fear Ethan had never seen before. "Primes are not soldiers," she said. "They are executioners. Only one is sent at a time, because only one is ever needed." Another heavy step echoed, then another. The floor beneath them vibrated with each one. Zyra grabbed Ethan's arm and pulled him to the ruined corridor. "We need to hide," she said, "right now." Ethan stumbled behind her, his body weak. His blood felt hot, boiling. It throbbed in his neck, his arms, his chest, like his heart was becoming something else. They ducked into a dark storage room just as a huge shadow passed by the hallway. Ethan held his breath. The shadow moved slowly, silent except for the heavy metal echo of each step. Zyra leaned close to Ethan's ear. "Do not make a sound," she whispered. "He can hear your heartbeat." Ethan froze. His heartbeat was loud, too loud. His glowing blood made it thump like a drum. He pressed his hand against his chest, trying to calm it, but it only beat faster, louder. The step stopped. Right outside the door, Zyra pressed her claws against her mouth, forcing herself not to breathe. Ethan watched the shadow. It was massive, at least 8 feet tall, broad shoulders, long limbs, a body shape almost human. Almost, but not right. Then Ethan saw the eyes, 2 burning circles of white light scanning the hallway. Cold, empty, hungry. The prime tilted its head, listening, searching, sensing. Ethan felt heat build in his chest. He tried to hold it back. He tried to stay still, but the blood inside him pulsed again. A flash of red light flickered through the storage room, small but enough. The prime turned instantly, its glowing eyes locked on their hiding place. Zyra's face went pale. "It saw us," she whispered. "Run." The door exploded inward before she finished the word. Metal shattered like glass. The prime stepped to the smoke, its voice deep and mechanical, almost like a growl. "Signal. Identified." Ethan felt a surge of fear so strong it froze him. He couldn't move. His legs refused to respond. The prime reached out a hand, long fingers ending in sharp metal points. It moved with slow, terrible confidence. Zyra jumped in front of Ethan. She drew her blade and slashed at the prime. The blade sparked against its armor, barely leaving a mark. The prime shoved her aside like she weighed nothing. Zyra crashed into a wall and fell to the floor. "Ethan, run!" she shouted, coughing. But Ethan couldn't. His blood was burning now. His vision swam with red light. He felt pressure building under his skin, like something wanted to break out. The prime reached for him again, its hand inches from Ethan's chest. And then Ethan's blood reacted. A shock wave burst out from his body, red energy exploding like lightning. The prime was thrown back, slamming into the metal wall. The impact dented the steel. Ethan collapsed to his knees, breathing hard. What was that?" he whispered. His hands trembled with leftover power. Zyra crawled at him and grabbed his shoulders. That was the first stage, she said. The signal inside you is activating. You are becoming what they fear and what they want. The Prime slowly stood up again, its armor cracked, its glowing eyes brighter than before. It stepped forward unfazed. Signal will be taken. Zyra pulled Ethan to his feet. We can't beat a Prime, she said. Not yet, but we can escape. Ethan looked past her. More shadows were moving in the hallway behind the Prime. More collectors, more soldiers, an entire squad forming. Zyra, Ethan said, his voice shaking. We're surrounded. Zyra drew her second blade. Her tail lifted. Her eyes glowed bright red. If they want you, she said, they will have to walk over my body. Ethan tried to speak, but the floor suddenly cracked beneath them. A loud alarm blared. A massive metal structure broke to the hull below. The ship wasn't falling. It was being cut open from underneath. Collectors were not just coming. They were boarding. Hundreds of them. The Prime stepped forward again, its voice echoing. The signal belongs to U.S. Zyra pulled Ethan toward a maintenance hatch, her voice filled with fire. Over my dead body. Written in alien blood. The metal under Ethan and Zyra cracked open as collectors poured into the falling ship. The Prime stepped forward with slow, heavy steps, glowing eyes fixed on Ethan like a predator marking its prey. Zyra held both blades tight, standing between Ethan and death. Her breath was fast, her tail shaking, but she did not move back. Ethan could barely stand. His blood burned like fire. Every heartbeat felt like an explosion inside his chest. He leaned against the wall, sweating, shaking. What do we do now? He whispered. They're everywhere. Zyra looked at him with fierce eyes. We reached the core chamber, she said. It's our only chance. Ethan frowned. What's in the core? He asked. Zyra grabbed his arm and pulled him toward a hatch. A way to end this, she said. They climbed down the maintenance tunnel as collectors tore open the ship above them. The Prime followed, dropping to the hole like a metal demon. It landed without a sound, its steps calm, slow, deadly. It knew they could not escape. The tunnel shook as Ethan and Zyra ran. The lights flickered, the air filled with dust. Ethan clutched his chest, trying not to scream. The red blood inside him flashed like lightning. It was activating faster now, too fast. What is happening to me? He asked, his voice weak. Zyra didn't slow down. You are becoming the full signal, she said. But your body is human. It cannot hold it. Ethan stumbled. So I'm going to die, he said. Zyra stopped and grabbed his face with both hands. No, she said. You will not die, not if I finish what I started. Before Ethan could ask what she meant, the tunnel opened into a giant chamber filled with swirling blue energy. The ship's core, a power source strong enough to bend space. Strong enough to destroy anything inside the room if overloaded. Ethan stared at the glowing core. What are we doing here? How does this help? Zyra took a slow breath. The core can stop the signal, she said. It can pull it out of you. Ethan blinked. Pull it out. You mean remove your blood? Zyra nodded. Yes, but there's a cost. Before she could explain, the chamber door exploded inward. Collectors flooded in. The Prime stepped to the smoke, its voice low and cold. Surrender the signal. Zyra pushed Ethan behind the console. Do not move, she whispered. She stepped into the open, her blades glowing red with the same energy as Ethan's blood. She stood alone against the Prime and its army. Come and take him, she said. The collectors charged. The Prime led them. Zyra fought like fire, every strike fast, sharp, desperate. She cut down soldier after soldier, but more kept coming, too many. Ethan watched with fear and guilt. He couldn't let her die for him. He couldn't watch her fall. His blood pulsed. Red lines flashed across his skin. A wall of energy burst out of him without warning. Collectors were slammed into the walls, some crushed, some thrown into the core's energy. The Prime alone remained standing. It walked toward Ethan slowly, unafraid, unstoppable. Zyra screamed. Ethan, stop using the signal. It will destroy you. But it was too late. The power was taking over, his vision filled with red. His heartbeat thundered in his ears. He felt himself slipping, losing control, losing who he was. Zyra ran to him and grabbed his face, her forehead pressed against his. "Listen to me," she whispered. "You are stronger than this. You are human. That means you choose your fate." Her words cut through the pain like light through darkness. Ethan took a shaking breath. He forced the power down, just enough to stay himself. Zyra turned him toward the core. "There's only one way," she said. "If I take the signal back, it will leave your body, and the collectors will lose their target." Ethan stared at her. "You'll die," he whispered. Zyra smiled softly, a tired, sad smile. "I was dying the moment my blood left my body, but this way, I choose the end." The Prime charged, roaring. Zyra grabbed Ethan's hand and pushed into the energy beam of the core. Her hand held his. Their blood connected, red and blue energy twisted together. A blast of light filled the chamber. The signal shot out of Ethan's body and into Zyra's. The power shook the entire ship. The Prime stumbled back, confused. Its glowing eyes flickered. It lost the signal. It lost the target. And for the first time, it hesitated. Zyra fell forward, weak, her body shaking from the energy. Ethan caught her. "Zyra, stay with me," he whispered. "Please." She touched his cheek gently, her voice soft. "You live now," she said. "That is enough for me." The Prime roared in anger and prepared to strike them both, but the unstable core couldn't hold the overload. It exploded in a wave of blue fire. The blast tore the ship apart. Collectors vanished in the light. The Prime dissolved in a flash, and everything went dark. When Ethan finally opened his eyes, he was lying on a rescue vessel, floating in quiet space. A medic leaned over him. "You're safe?" The medic said. "We found no alien energy in your body." Ethan looked around. He was alive, human, free. But Zyra was not there. Only her broken blade rested in his hand. He closed his eyes. A single tear fell. "She saved me," he whispered. "And she saved all of you." Outside the window, a bright star shined. Ethan held her blade tighter. He knew one thing for sure. Her story wasn't over, and neither was his.